AFC North is, I think, the league's toughest division. Last year, we saw 4 teams vie for what probably could be 2, if not 3 wildcard spots. And in this year, we have the Baltimore Ravens, who are the defending AFC North champions. And I think with Lamar back at the helm, he's already won his 2nd MVP. Bringing in Derrick Henry is a great addition to the back. It kind of takes some pressure off of Lamar, but also bring some physicality. Their defense, we know, is very, very physical, and they bring the boom, they lay the lumber, and I think that's the side that they don't have to worry about physicality. Offensively, it's a little bit finesse. Lamar is a slippery, fast quarterback, and then they've had some speedsters on the outside, but bringing Derrick Henry, giving it some oomph to the offensive line, and just running the rock brings an extra dimension to this Baltimore offense. I think it makes it very, very lethal. Mark Andrews will be healthy this season, and that will be a viable go-to option, and I expect that Zay Flowers will be a breakout candidate this year. He had some really good looks, especially late on. He kind of caught fire, and I think with this season, within a full off season of reps, he will get a lot of what looks as the first wide receiver, and he can line up pretty much anywhere on the field, so that's going to get him a lot of touches, and that's going to be another dimension that we haven't seen from Baltimore. And looking at what they could do, are they a team that can challenge the Kansas City Chiefs? Absolutely. I think they're probably the top threat out of this whole talented conference to do so. It's just that they're going to take a lot of body blows just to claim the division, because this division is very, very tricky from top to bottom. Cincinnati is going to get back Joe Burrow after suffering a season-ending wrist injury last year. He's talked about having that extra time to recover. He gets a head start on that off season, get the mental reps once the injury was ready to go. He was basically looking for the 2024 season to start. Training camp went well, and we do have the Jamar Chase contract negotiations up in the air. I think that may get resolved before they start their first game, but remains to be seen. Regardless, the Cincinnati Bengals did make some notable move. I thought bringing in Geno Stone, stealing him from the Baltimore Ravens, was a very, very nice move. Gets them some secondary help, which we've seen some lackluster secondary play since Jesse Bates left in the 2023 offseason, so that's a good move for the Cincinnati Bengals. It's going to be probably their last stand as presently constructed. They already lost Joe Mixon in the offseason, and I'm not really sure who's going to really get a lot of carries for the Cincinnati Bengals, but it's going to be interesting to see. Joe Burrow is poised, he's motivated. I think the defense, at least the defensive line, is very, very good. Trey Hendrickson should be up there getting 12 to 14 sacks this year, I think, but it definitely makes it a little bit muddled because they have had some issues on the line. We don't know exactly what the contract situation was with Jamar Chase, so it's a lot of things up in the air, but I do think the Cincinnati Bengals will be just another very good team in this very talented AFC North division. So the Cleveland Browns face a ton of urgency this season. They face something where their quarterback returns from injury, but we need to see him put together a quality season in terms of long-term play. He's been in and out of the lineup last year. He played like 6 games, ended up missing the rest of the season due to a fracture in his shoulder. But he's going to have to put up or shut up. During his days in Houston, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and we haven't seen that type of quality play ever since joining the Cleveland Browns. He restructured his deal, but that means that the Browns are are going to be taking a huge dead cap load next year if he was not on the roster. So it helps him on the front end, but kills him on the back end. So now it's time to see if that investment was worth it, because if you look at the trade now, it's probably one of the most one-sided trades. They played a lot of money to this guy, and they basically kickstarted the Texans' rebuild opportunity. The defense obviously is one of the best in the league. I mean, secondary to defensive line led by Myles Garrett is going to be very, very tenacious. That is going to be the part that they hang their hat on. And I mean, their skills positions are also pretty good. We're going to see Nick Chubb return at some point, but we know Jerome Ford is going to handle the bulk of the carries to start and ease Nick Chubb back into the mix of things. I think with him getting back into it, they have some experience at running back and have some good wide receivers. Jerry Jeudy is going to be competing for a number 2 position behind Amari Cooper. I think that's going to be a nice mix of speed but also great route running between the two. It's going to come down to whether or not their quarterback can stay healthy, and if so, then this is a pretty dangerous team, but it's hanging on a big what if. We talked about Pittsburgh quite a bit, so I don't think I need to get into too much with that, but since our last recording, Russell Wilson's been named the starter. Made sense just given Mike Tomlin's culture, but it's going to be a short leash for Russell Wilson, that's for sure. I think he's going to start at least a couple of games, and then we'll see how the offense looks. And if it looks good, he's going to get a little bit of a leash extended. But if it doesn't go well, I'm going to put in Justin Fields. And yet again, I think this is a team that is good on defense, but it doesn't have a lot of interesting pieces on the offensive end. I don't think they'll be as good as they were last year. They were admirable at times, but I still don't think they have what it takes in a very, very competitive AFC, let alone this division. But we'll see what happens. I think once we make the rankings, I'll show you what I think, how they stack up amongst the rest. But it's a very interesting division. This AFC North as a whole, I think, is going to be from top to bottom the toughest division, and I think whoever wins it is going to have certainly a prize, but it's going to be hard to get the 1 seed just due to taking so many body blows. It wouldn't be surprising if you win the division but your record sucks or isn't as good as the other AFC rivals because some people have taken bites out of you along the way to that division title.